Welcome back to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Juan Gonzalez, and we're still on the line with Amy Goodman and with Sharif Abdel Kouddous, who are in Port-au-Prince. Amy, I'm wondering if Sharif can tell us about some of what he has seen and what he's been reporting while he's been there.
Hi, Juan. Thank you for bringing me on. You know, it's hard to describe, really, the extent of the destruction here in Haiti, here in Port-au-Prince, where we're speaking to you from. You drive and drive along the roads, and buildings are pancaked on top of each other, just completely destroyed. And even those ones that are still standing have huge cracks in them. They're not structurally sound. We don't know how Haiti will be rebuilt. You know, with us in our group is the longtime journalist Kim Ives, and he said Haiti is like Gaza. And he couldn't be more true. There's tent cities everywhere. There's refugees of the earthquake everywhere in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince. And there's a real problem with the aid distribution here. You know, we spoke with an aid worker here at the Matthew 25 house, and she described to us how there's these red zones where the UN and larger aid agencies are not allowed to go. They need security clearance. They need an armed escort. And when the UN does come through, it really looks like an occupying force. These are soldiers. They're heavily armed. They have helmets. They rush by. There's sirens on. They quickly distribute aid and then leave. And it's not seen. They're not interacting with people of the community. They're not interacting with people who can distribute aid effectively in neighborhoods around Port-au-Prince. And I just want to describe a story that I think is extremely illustrative of the problem. Yesterday, when we were in Léogâne, we came to an area where a helicopter from a Mormon charity had landed. It was on the ground, and there was Haitians all around, young and old, waiting for food to be handed out. This helicopter took off the ground and began throwing the food down at the Haitians. It did not distribute it when it was on the ground. It threw the food from the air. These were packets of bread that they were throwing. It ignited fury and indignation on the ground by the people there. They began screaming. One man started crying. He said, "We are a proud people. We are not dogs for you to throw bones at." It was a scene that I will never forget. And it really illustrates the problem with aid distribution here and the relief efforts here, that they're not seen as people, as Haitians keep saying. They say this can happen to anybody. How would you like to be treated in this way? And right here at the Matthew 25 house last night, there's a group of doctors from Denver who came here, who organized themselves. They came. They're on the ground in the streets. This is what's needed. There's plenty of doctors at the airport and plenty of aid pallets there, but they're not where it's needed. And these folks came here. They performed an amputation right in front of us for a young Haitian man in his 20s. They amputated the lower part of his left leg, and they're taking care of hundreds of people in a soccer field out back from where we're speaking to right now. It's also serving as a shelter for people who have lost their homes, which is a vast majority of people living in Port-au-Prince.
And Amy, I'd like to ask you about the international response, because most of the attention here is focusing on the American rescue groups that are going down, and understandably because it's American press, but there is a huge outpouring from other parts of the world, isn't there? From Turkey, from China, from all parts of Latin America. Could you talk about that?
Juan, just before I say that, I just wanted to say we witnessed last night an amputation. Doctors from Denver Children's Hospital amputating the leg of a man in his 20s, a young man. And at the same time that we watched his foot being sawed off, the head of this community came up to me and said, "A woman just died because her amputation didn't happen soon enough." It's hard to be thankful as you watch an amputation take place, but the numbers of amputations, the numbers of unnecessary deaths, simply because of the time that people have waited. The aid coming in from all over the world, and we'll see what happens now. President Proval has handed over control of the airport to the United States, to the U.S. military. But China came in very early on. Cuba has been here. The first stop we made was at a hospital called Hospital La Paix, and their Hospital of Peace. It's Cuban doctors working with Haitian doctors and many Cuban-trained Haitian doctors working at as efficient a system you could possibly have under these utterly dire circumstances. And these Cuban doctors in the main plaza outside of the palace, which has gone down, Cuban doctors have set up tents to help people. Yes, aides coming in from all over. Last night, a Dominican food supply came into this house near the soccer field, delivering hundreds of food packets. But I have to say, one of the very sad moments was when we first came in. I had gotten a call from Eve Ensler, our guest, who's in the studio with you, and it's painful for me to even say this in her hearing because of this tremendous loss. She called me, I think we talked at 2 in the morning before we came in on Sunday, and said, please try to find my friend, try to find Miriam Merlet, who was more than a friend to Eve Ensler, but to so many women in this devastated community. And she gave us an area, not even an address, because she didn't know it. But we went to that area in Paco. It is not a poor area like Cité Soleil, but it is down. It is on a hill, and it is an entire community under rubble. And we made it to her house as the sun was setting. And there was a group of people who were sitting across the street crying. And we said, Miriam Merlet, do you know which is her house? And they pointed, and they said, we've just pulled her body up, and we have brought it down the street. I looked around and asked if there was family. They said, yes, her sister, Eartha Merlet, and she was sitting in the middle of the group weeping. And we asked her if she could bring us to the makeshift grave site. It was just down through the rubble. They had dug a deep, deep hole and covered the casket a bit. And Eartha talked about her beloved sister. But we have someone who knew her like a sister as well, Eve Ensler. And I want to say, Eve, yesterday when we passed the Ministry of Women where she worked, it is completely devastated. It's hard to see there was even a, high-story building there.
Well, Eve Ensler,